This smartphone sports a big 6.4-inch displays with water drop notch, which Samsung calls Infinity U displays. The bezels aren't thin but are acceptable for the price. Just like with other M series smartphones, Samsung has used plastic in the construction of the Galaxy M31. The earpiece is sleek and it sits right above the display in the frame of the smartphone. The Galaxy M31 feels comfortable to hold in the hand. The sides are slightly curved, which helps with grip. Samsung has positioned the power and volume buttons on the right of the device. The Galaxy M31 has a 3.5mm headphone jack, primary microphone, USB Type-C port, and a speaker at the bottom. Samsung has retained the Exynos 9611 chipset from the Galaxy M30s. This is an octa-core processor with great performance. For graphics, it has the Mali G72 GPU. You get 6GB of RAM and a choice between a 64GB storage variant and a 128GB of storage variant. The device is fairly quick to load up apps, however big apps do take slightly longer. Since there is plenty of RAM, multitasking is very easy. The Galaxy M31 sports a quad camera setup at the back and a single 32MP selfie shooter. The primary camera on the Galaxy M31 has a 64MP resolution and 1.8 aperture. There's also an 8MP ultra-wide-angle camera with a 120-degree field of view. The other two are 5MP depth sensor and a 5MP macro camera. Samsung's camera app is the same as before. Photos turned out well and have decent details. The smartphone enables HDR automatically if required. Switching to the wide-angle camera is easy and you can get a wider field of view. This phone is capable of separating subjects and backgrounds when shooting close-ups. Photos taken in low light looked good. Rear camera can record 4K video at 30fps. There is a single 32MP camera on the front. Selfies taken with the Galaxy M31 were decent when shot with sufficient lighting around. The front delivers good quality pictures all around. You can also record 4K video with the front camera. M31 packs in a big 6000mAh battery with 15W fast charging support. Samsung Galaxy M40 is the fourth installment in the company's online exclusive M series. It's also the first M series phone to include a competent Qualcomm chipset and Samsung's striking One UI software. The front of the M40 is dominated by an Infinity O display, whereas the O represents a punch hole. Samsung has managed a 91% screen to body ratio, and that makes Galaxy M40 quite manageable and handy. The Galaxy M40 has a 6.3-inch screen which has FHD Plus resolution amounting to 409 ppi. It shows punchy colors, can achieve a maximum brightness of up to 480 nits, and the calibration is quite good. The Galaxy M40 is driven by Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 chipset. With 6GB of DDR4 RAM and 128GB of internal storage. M40 have 32MP with 1.7 aperture sensor as a primary rear camera. The primary sensor gets the assistance of 5MP depth sensor in portrait mode. There is another 8MP sensor on the back that can capture ultra-wide-angle shots. Apart from these rear cameras, there is a 16MP with a 2.0 aperture sensor for a selfie on the front of the phone. The Galaxy M40 fixes what has traditionally been a limitation of affordable Samsung phones. This time Samsung particularly focuses on the performance hardware and uses a popular, tried and tested Qualcomm chipset instead of a value Exynos SoC chipset. Samsung Galaxy M30s was released in September 2019. The phone comes with a 6.4-inch Super AMOLED touchscreen display with 20:9 aspect ratio. It is powered by Exynos 9611 10nm processor. It comes with 6GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Samsung Galaxy M30s on the rear packs triple camera setup consisting of a 48MP main shooter and a 8MP ultra-wide lens and another 5MP depth sensor. There is a 16MP camera on the front for selfies. This device is based on Android 9.0 Pie and packs 128GB of inbuilt storage that can be expanded via microSD card up to 1TB. It is powered by 6000mAh battery with 15W fast battery charging support. It was released in opal black, sapphire blue and pearl white colors. The overall design of this phone remains similar to its predecessor, the Galaxy M20, but Samsung has made several improvements with the Galaxy M21. The 1080p OLED notch display is now 6.4 inches, up from 6.3 inches. The phone will be available in black and blue. Internally, the specs are also improved. The Galaxy M21 features a faster Exynos 9611 processor. The RAM and internal storage of its base model have increased to 4GB and 64GB. On its rear, there are now 3 cameras rather than 2, thanks to the addition of a new 8MP ultra-wide camera alongside the 5MP depth sensor. The resolution of the main sensor has also been bumped up from 13 to 48MP. The selfie camera now features a 20MP sensor, up from 8MP. There's also a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor, a USB Type-C port, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. This phone packs a big 6000 mAh battery with 15W fast battery charging support. Doing well in the Indian market is important for Samsung, especially after India had surpassed the US to become the second largest smartphone market in the world. However, Samsung's market share in the country declined between 2018 and 2019. Samsung released this phone to win back buyers from Chinese rivals, whose phones have stolen market share from the world's largest handset maker. Samsung Galaxy M11 comes in various colors such as black, blue and violet. The screen is a TFT capacitive touchscreen which has a size of 6.4 inches. The resolution of the display is 720 by 1560 pixels and provides a 280 ppi density. This device is powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 450. The smartphone is packed with 3GB or 4GB of RAM and 32GB or 64GB of internal storage depending on the variation you are buying. These options will allow you to store your memories while the RAM is good enough to boost the performance of the device. The photographic section of the Samsung Galaxy M11 is divided into 3 rear cameras and 1 front camera. The main sensor of this triple camera is 13MP with 1.8 aperture. The secondary camera is an ultra-wide-angle 5MP with 2.2 aperture, and the third one is designed to capture depth with its 2MP and 2.4 aperture. On the front, the camera is 8MP and maintains a feature of higher range devices such as the live focus for making portrait effect selfies. The smartphone is fueled with a non-removable 5000 mAh battery with 15W fast charging support.